Welcome to Flow. Let's get started. Today we'll start off in a child's pose position. Bring your big toes together, separate your knees, bring your arms out long in front of you, and allow your head to rest between your arms. In this first posture, bring your focus and awareness to the movement of your breath. So with every inhale, allow the space between your shoulder blades to expand. And with every exhale, allow your hips to sink a little heavier towards your heels. Crawl your fingertips away from your toes. Find more length through your spine. And slowly begin to make your way up to tabletop position. So your shoulders are right over your wrists, your hips are over your knees. Arch through your spine, lift through your gaze as you inhale. And then exhale for a cat spine, push into the ground as you round through your upper back. And we'll take that again. Arch through your spine, lift through your gaze. And then exhale, push into the ground, dome through your upper back. And then one more time, nice and slow, moving between these two postures. And now this time as you round through your spine, bring your hips back to your heels. So it's kind of a hybrid of a cat spine and a child's pose. And then move yourself back to a nice arch. And then exhale, round through the spine. Pull your hips back to your heels. Bring yourself back up to tabletop. And then continue to move between these two postures. Find a bit more range of motion as your hips pull back. A little bit of extra stretch into your spine. And your breath doesn't have to exactly match, but just make sure that you're infusing your breath with your movement. Come back to neutral tabletop position. Aim your knees over to the left, your ankles over to the right. Round through your spine and start to pull your hips straight towards the back of your mat. And as you're coming this, find a little more reach through your right fingertips. So it's a little bit of a counter stretch. You can walk your fingertips slightly over to the right. Really actively pull your hips towards the back diagonal of the mat. And just breathe into the space and length that you're creating. A few more big breaths here. And slowly move yourself up. And rotate your knees so they point over to the right, ankles over to the left, and send your hips back. Option to move your fingertips a little more over to the left if you want to find an even deeper counter stretch. Find a few more moments of big breath here and make your way back to a tabletop position. Push yourself up to standing on your knees and step your left foot so it comes in front of you. Your left knee will be stacked right over your left ankle. Bring your left hand behind your head and start to tip your gaze back, tip your head back. And then exhale, do the opposite. Bring your chin to your chest, round through your upper spine. And we're gonna move between these two shapes a few more times. It's a little bit precarious with the balance. As you're moving through this, squeeze your right glute and find this nice deep contraction. And as you pull your chin to your chest, you may notice an extra pull through the front of your right hip flexor. You can increase this sensation by squeezing your right glute a little bit more and pushing your hips forward. Keep this movement going through the upper and middle spine. Find a few more of these. Allow yourself to find a little more traction through your neck. So actually push your skull against your left hand. And then bring your hands down to frame your foot. Step your right foot forward so you're in a forward fold ragdoll pose. Soften through your knees. Slowly roll yourself up to stand. Stack through your vertebrae. Reach your arms out to the side, up overhead. Bring your gaze up. And And then exhale, bring your hands down to your side. Bend your knees, stick your hips back, stick your chest forward, and come into a forward fold. So we're coming into this forward fold a little bit like a deadlift. I want your knees to be bent, a little bit of an arch through your lower spine. And this way we're going to target a little more into lengthening through the hamstrings. And find an extra few moments here. Keep your upper spine lifted. Find big breaths in and out. And notice that length and stretch you can feel into your hamstrings. And then release into a forward fold. And step your knees back. Bring yourself to sit on your knees, flip your toes under. And find a few moments here to stretch into your toes and the bottoms of your feet. If this feels too intense for your feet, bring your weight a little further forward. Otherwise, bring your weight further back. And that's just going to stretch those muscles in the bottom of your feet and bring some awareness and attention to your toes as well. Slowly bring yourself up to stand on your knees. Step your right foot so it comes forward into your lunge position. Bring your right hand behind your right head. Start to lean your upper body back. And then start to pull your right elbow forward and find this contraction. And continue to move between these two shapes. And as you're doing this, find a squeeze into your left glute that's going to help with stability. And imagine that you could find more length and more traction through your spine as you're moving between these two postures. Very deliberate and intentional movement. And also a little bit of a balance challenge. If you find yourself kind of falling out of it, it's no big deal. Bring yourself back into it. Continue to breathe. It doesn't have to exactly match your movement. Bring your hands down to frame your right foot. Step your left foot forward. You're in a forward fold. Soften your knees and roll yourself up to stand. Skull is the last thing to arrive. Reach your arms out to the side, up overhead, and exhale for forward folds. Now once again, soften through your knees. Push your hips back and come into this variation of a forward fold. So you've got a bend with your knees, trying to find a little more arch with your spine. And this way, we're finding a little more length and stretch into the backs of your legs, particularly your hamstrings. Keep the back of your neck nice and long. And then release, forward fold. Step your feet back to downward facing dog. Take a few moments in your downward facing dog, pedal out through your feet. And then energize your heels down to the mat. Just experience that length in the backs of your legs. Push your palms into the ground and imagine you could push your armpits towards your big toes. Find a few more moments of breath. Reach your right leg up into the air. And take a moment, try to energize your left heel down to the ground. Step your right foot between your hands, lower your back knee. Reach your arms up, keep your back toes flipped under. And then exhale to release your hips back. And if you're feeling good about your balance, you can release your arms back behind you. And we'll move between these two postures. So bring yourself forward into your lunge. As you're coming into your lunge, reach your arms up. And then exhale to send your hips back. Dig your right heel into the mat, and as best you can, try to extend your right knee. Take about 8 of these total, and then option to add in something. So next time that you come into your lunge position, option to bend your back knee. And you get a little extra quad opener there. And again, that is just an option. If that's feeling too sensitive on your kneecap, then skip the option. 8 of these all together. This is a really great way to open through your hips, to find some nice stretch into your right hamstring. And if you're taking the option with the knee, you can find some additional opening into your left quad. Take one more and meet in a hamstring stretch or a runner's stretch. So shift your hips back, try to straighten through your right leg. and hold this stretch. We're going to find a bit of movement through your spine. Now, if you're finding a big bend through your right knee, that's okay. Just breathe into the length of your right hamstring. Inhale to find a flat spine, and then exhale to release your torso. And take this again. Think of undulating through your spine. Inhale, and then exhale to release. And one more. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to release. Shift yourself back forward to a lunge so you can make your way to a three-legged dog. Right leg in the air. Take a moment to kick around through your right leg. Find a little bit of movement, open and close through your right hip. Place your right foot down to the mat. Inhale, lift your left leg. Step your left foot so it comes between your hands. Lower your back knee down to the mat. We're going to move all of this to our left side. Reach your arms up, nice and open through the chest as you pull your thumbs back. And then exhale, send your hips back into this hamstring opener. And continue to move between these two postures. And just as we did on the first side, we'll take about 8 of these total. At any point, if you would like to bend through your back knee and find more of an opening into your right quad, you can find that variation for yourself. Be a little bit challenging with the balance. If you're finding that, no big deal. Use your hands to catch yourself and then just come right back into it. It's a good deal of stability work for these big leg muscles, but at the same time, it's a nice way to open and stretch. And just find a few more here, moving forwards, moving backwards. And after this next one, hold in your hamstring opener. Breathe into this space. Inhale, find a halfway lift. Unfurl your spine forward, lengthen through the back of your neck. And then exhale to release over your left leg. And do 2 more just like that. Think of an undulating movement. Allow your spine to lengthen, and every time try to bring yourself a little further forward. And then slowly make your way out of this back into a 3-legged dog. Your left leg is up in the air. And shake out through your left leg in your own way, just allowing some of that fresh oxygenated blood to move back into the joints of your left leg. Place your left foot down to the mat, downward facing dog. And lower your knees down to the ground. Cat-cow. Inhale, cow spine. Drop the belly, lift the gaze. And then exhale, cat spine. Sometimes I like to explore into a cat-cow at the end of the session, just so you have an opportunity to acknowledge any differences you may feel physically. And you can start to pepper in some additional movement in this cat-cow if you want to circle through your head, through your ribs, your hips. And then make your way to a forward fold. Soften your knees, drop your skull. Push into your feet so you can slowly roll yourself up to stand. Stack through your vertebrae. Reach your arms out to the side, up overhead. Take a big breath in. And then exhale, bring your hands down to your side. You can allow your eyes to close or find a soft gaze. And we'll close our session right here, standing position. Notice any differences you may feel, maybe physically, maybe mentally. Thank you for joining us today. And that's your flow.